Hello, Sunshine. I'm Alexi Lalas, and welcome to the State of the Union podcast, where we look at the beautiful game on and off the field through the lens of red, white, and blue-colored glasses. Joining me today, not as always, special guests.
Soccer savant, you have a new one.
Yeah, you guys are definitely soccer savants also. You will notice that David Mossy is not with us today. As I've said time and time again, he is in high demand. Everybody pulling him in all sorts of different directions. So we've gone to the bench. You've seen them before. You know them, you love them. Well, you know them. Purple People Eater down there, Stu Holden, great Stu Holden, and Heather O'Reilly, thank you so much for joining me today. We want to do this show. We're going to make it short and sweet, but it's kind of a wrap-up of the first round of games. We have seen every single team now in this tournament, and so I will start with you, Heather. What has stood out to you? You just give me a couple of things, not a whole list, but a couple of things that have stood out to you after this first round of games.
First of all, in terms of teams that have impressed me, I got to go the creme of the crop. Spain, to me, best team so far through this first set of matches. I thought that they were class in their possession, where they had 80% possession. Yeah, you'd say another day for Spain, but this time they're pumping in 26 shots.
46, I think, wasn't it? 40?
Something six.
Crazy.
Something
That's
six.
A lot. That's a big number.
An outrageous amount of
big
shots.
Big number.
And listen, they just played good football, but they got the teeth now. They got the teeth to go all the way. Gonzalez up top, good player. But Bonmati, also probably the best player of this first round of games for me. So Spain, to me, class. That's my biggest takeaway of the first round.
Okay. You?
My biggest takeaway, I think we've seen some good performances from the first-time debutants, but not a single first-time debutant scored a goal, which I think is a little bit of a bummer in the first round. But in saying that, I'm going to go with Heyo's team from yesterday, the Super Duper Germans. They were. Why are you laughing?
No, that's just funny.
Man, the Germans. Like this tournament, I felt took a little bit of time to come to life and see a team really just put on that dominant of a performance. I think Spain were really impressive, Heyo, but they also could have won 6-7-0. The Germans did that, and they didn't stop. They kept the foot in the gas. They were just goal after goal after goal, and no mercy for Morocco. So I was very impressed with the Germans, and I think coming into the tournament, I think we all had them pretty high. I got them at the top of the power rankings.
All right, so I did a couple of lists here that piqued my interest. So they're not winners and losers necessarily, but their stock improved, their stock went down. So the winners, I guess it would be New Zealand, Brazil, and Haiti. The losers for me would be Norway, Canada, and France. And again, this is just a glimpse. First games, things completely change in the second games and third games going forward. And then just things that stood out to me. We just come off seeing Casey Fair play for Korea,
awesome.
The 16-year-old Jersey girl, Korean American. I mean, I don't know what you guys were doing when you were 16-year-old, but I wasn't on a Tuesday running out and in the World Cup. It was wonderful to see her come on. The Bunny Shaw red card, I think that was huge. And just a moment that sticks with me. The tears for Panama and the anthem. Speaking of young players, by the way, 18-year-old Inda Caicedo, 18-year-old Alyssa Thompson, these types of players.
Dragoni from Italy as well, 16-year-old.
Exactly.
Does it seem like there's like the super young players and then super old players? Like I think there's like an outrageous amount of players in their late 30s.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Yeah, we just saw, I mean, ironically, we put on a 16-year-old for South Korea, and yet they're the oldest team at the World Cup, even with a 16-year-old on the roster. And then the VAR announcements, which I think is just a more general type of thing that we're seeing here in the World Cup. Other things that might stick out to you or that we should be looking at now that we get to the second round games? Because there's much more comfort. You understand the circumstances now. Individually and collectively, the teams kind of come into order in the second games. And sometimes we see better soccer in the second.
I feel like this one will resonate with you. We love stars, right?
Yep.
We love to star build. We love to build players up, profile them leading into games. And I would say generally over the course of this tournament so far, stars have delivered. I mean, I even think about, we're talking about Haiti. Dumornay was the player we continue to talk about. I thought she was sensational throughout that game. Benini was so good as well. And every single player that we've talked about and built in that way, even Linda Caicedo today, she scores a goal for Colombia. So I'm excited to see now if these stars can deliver results as well. I think the difficult part is when you're Haiti, you're essentially a one-person team. Bunny Shaw for Jamaica, can they pick up the slack without her being out? But, now that some of these teams that I think started slowly, Sweden, Norway, Sweden got the result eventually. I want to see France as well, coming off of a draw. What does the second game look like for them now? When maybe you're going to face a tougher opposition.
Yeah, I think so. I think to piggyback off that, you could do it one time, but now we're going to actually see some trends. So I'm really excited to see if New Zealand's able to keep the good times moving in their second game. Are the top dogs that we've always talked about, those 1, 2, 3, 4 teams, are they going to separate themselves in the second round of games, or are we still talking about this wide pool of teams that could win this thing?
Yeah, Lex, I was going to ask you that. Do you feel that now, having seen, we came into this tournament saying this was going to be the toughest test for the United States to ever win a World Cup. Do you feel that way now, having seen the teams in the first game?
I don't know. I don't feel worried or concerned after seeing all the other 31 teams play, in that I don't think there's anybody that I've seen play that I don't think the U.S. on a given day can beat.
Yeah.
It's going to be, look, it's certainly not just being given, and it's not a fait accompli by any stretch of the imagination. And to be fair, against Vietnam, it's almost not even fair to judge this U.S. team. This next game against the Netherlands, that's why I'm so excited about this second round coming forward. When it comes to the Golden Boot, Borges from Brazil at 3, Sophia Smith from the U.S. at 2, Miyazawa at 2 from Japan, and then Popp at 2. Now, we didn't see Kerr for Australia, and a lot of people, including myself, had her up there. Do you think that this changes going forward in terms of the who's going to lead this, or do you think it's Borges all the way?
No, I think that Popp is like a force to.
That's a safe bet.
Yeah, to be reckoned with. I mean, she's so good taking space at speed. She's so good in the air. I mean, Borges, to be fair, could have had 4 goals.
Yeah.
With the amazing back, I guess she didn't heel it. It was the sole of her foot. She played it back and
Soul roll.
And I think karma was on her side, because she later did get a hat trick, but she was sitting on a hat trick during that play. And I was like, yo, I'm sitting on a hat trick at a World Cup. I'm not rolling it back to my teammate. First of all, I can't even do that. I can't even do that. If I was able to do it, I wouldn't do it if I was sitting on a hat trick. But she got the hat trick anyway. So listen, I mean, we see her playing the NWSL. That was a amazing performance for her. To be honest, I don't think that many people that have
she's not always the most prolific
that see the
goal
league
scorer,
week in and week out are like, yeah, she's going to be the Golden Boot winner in this first round of games. So that was a little surprising. What's not surprising is that Popp is a beast.
Yeah, I also think Sophia Smith is going to get a lot of chances in the game, because I think the U.S. have 3 players up front that are so dangerous that it's not like, we know for Germany, of course, they have talented wingers as well, but Popp is the focus, and you're going to be marking her. And then on the other side, the U.S., if you mark Alex Morgan, then it leaves space for Trinity Robin, Alyssa Thompson, Sophia Smith. So I think Sophia Smith, just with her speed alone, she's going to be able to create chances by herself, with not always people having to create chances for her.
One last question before we finish this up. And we were talking about this, I think, at breakfast or lunch. I get the days and the meals confused.
It's Tuesday today.
Whatever.
I remember every moment.
Do you? Okay, good. You're the one. I said that Bunny Shaw could start for the U.S. national team. If she was American, she would start for them. Is there anybody that you have seen so far in these first games that you think would be a starter for the 11 for the U.S.
in any position?
Any position.
Oh, give me some Bon Mati.
She
is a baller.
Really?
Oh my gosh, I just think.
So who's she starting over?
In the midfield right now, I just think she would start over, DeMello.
Okay.
I think she would start over Rose. Yeah.
She'd start over Rose.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Hot take, Stu. Come on.
You want to know about this hot take?
What do you got?
I'm a huge Alex Morgan fan. She's my good mate. I think what she's done for this program is amazing. I would 100% start Popp over Alex Morgan.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And I'd start Bunny Shaw over her. So,
do you have anyone else you would pick that stood out?
I can't think of anybody else right now. But as we go on, let's come back to this. Let's revisit this. Also, show the people your ankles here, because this is the magic of television. No, show them your ankles, Stu. We're all wearing long underwear.
Oh, man, I didn't know the thermals were poking through here.
And show them the little anklets, socks
the
that you're
socks
wearing
underneath,
too.
yeah.
Oh, my God. So these are all the tricks of the
Shout
trade
out to Lotto. Thanks for the close-up.
when it comes to Stu there. All right, listen. Before we go, I just wanted to tell a real quick story. You guys weren't around. You weren't born. But back in the 1970s, that was back in the 1900s, the previous century, around about 1978, I was growing up in the suburbs of Detroit. Our local team was the Detroit Express, and my mom took me to this game in the old Pontiac Silverdome. Rest in peace, the Pontiac Silverdome. And I saw the Detroit Express play, and I saw this player who was from England, who was the big star right there. His name was Trevor Francis, and I was mesmerized. It was the first star that I ever actually watched in person. And the reason why I loved him wasn't just because he was a great soccer player, but he wore white shoes. And many, many years later, we played the U.S. men's national team. We played a game in Seattle in the old Kingdome. It has since been demolished, as has the Pontiac Silverdome. And I went to the coach at the time, because it was on synthetic surface, and I said, can I wear these white racquetball shoes? Because I was so obsessed with Trevor Francis, and I wanted to almost pay homage. We come to find out that Trevor Francis has passed away. So rest in peace, wonderful, wonderful Trevor Francis. Incredible player, incredible commentator, and he will certainly be missed. But he made his mark, at least on this little boy in the suburbs of Detroit, all those years ago. Anything before we go?
That was a touching trivia, my friend.
Well, you know, I mean, we have a history when it comes to soccer, my friend. We have a history. It's sometimes it's weird and it's confused and it's different than everybody else, but we all have these different stories in terms of how people have found a way to impact us along the way. Hasn't always been easy in the soccer world that we live in the United States, but it's getting easier and easier. And hell, we're seeing players right now. There are people at home right now that are watching these players play and say, I remember in 2023 staying up late at night, and my mom would say, hey, you got to go to bed, but I wanted to watch it, and I wanted to see what Alyssa Thompson was doing, or Megan Rapinoe, or, you know, list goes on and on and on. And that's part of what it is. It's passing it forward. So that's a wonderful thing. Yeah. All right, keep reviewing. Keep downloading, keep rating, keep subscribing, doing all the different things that you do.
Wait, quickly. Mbappe's contract. We're not going to talk about that?
We talked about this. You got to keep up, buddy.
Buddy, I'm right in it right now.
Would you take it?
$1 billion?
300? Right.
Dude, I'm going right now.
You're just going, right?
I'm going right now. Get me on the plane.
Really? Because you don't care about challenging yourself at the highest level.
Do you know
all
what?
you care about.
Do you know how many lavender suits you can buy with that kind of cash?
All you care. Man, oh man.
Sean Singh, get out of here.
All right, listen, we will see you next time. And until then, as always, size the day.